This type of pressure, talked about this with some of these young offensive linemen. Tomlinson just gets by Martin. Nothing the quarterback can do when you're standing there and they get to the middle of the pocket. What a catch and what a throw. That's tight coverage on Ward. We love talking about that matchup all week. What's it going to be like with CeeDee Lamb and Denzel Ward? And it's an all-out blitz. They're bringing all six. And they can only block 5 of them. Dak knows it and lays it up there to
My, oh my, how sweet is it to be back with all of you. How is it going? Ryan in Sacktown, back from vacation. One of the best vacations of my life. Definitely will fill you in on that later in the show. But the King's Court, we're here. We're live. We made it. Give everybody stand up. Give yourselves a big yeah. We've made it. Listen to me for a second. When I say we've made it, football season here. We are through, almost through week 1. Tonight, you got Monday Night Football. The Niners, the Jets. A lot of questions on both sides of the field tonight. Aaron Rodgers. Big question marks there. He has only played 4 snaps in 2 years. You've got the Niners with Christian McCaffrey. You know, I don't know about all of you. A calf strain, that's worrisome. But you mix in an Achilles, that is even worse. Do you guys remember Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson, something like that in Golden State? Yeah. Not good stuff. So we're going to break that down in a little bit, but we are brought to you today by Bennett's West Side Grill in Rockland. Get to Bennett's. I'm not going to play the videos right now because, quite frankly, I'm too excited to be with all of you. Also, programming note, tomorrow, Grant is back, and it is the first episode of Grant and Sean, 3 o'clock tomorrow. So that will affect the King's Court, but we'll get to that a little bit later today, talk some more about that. But Grant and Sean Salisbury will be here talking all about week 1 of the NFL season. I've got thoughts on that, thoughts of week 2 of college football as well. I've got the rankings so far for the Yahoo Fantasy Football Pick'em League that we've got going, and no surprise who's at the top of that one. In fact, he is on hold right now, so we'll get to him in a minute. But back to my initial thought. Check this out. We always go through that slow time in sports, right? It gets a little bit, what's the right word? Cumbersome, the opposite of cumbersome in the off season, in the dog days of summer, as baseball's coming down the stretch for us here in Sacramento. The show's called The King's Court. The Kings are what we do, but when the Kings aren't playing, we cover everything else. So we're getting closer and closer, but then you start to get the preseason football going, right? And then all of a sudden, college football. Now we are a week into the NFL season, and guess what? We are 2.5, 3 weeks from the opening of Kings training camp. And then before you know it, we are in the preseason, and it is going to be October 24th, and the Kings are going to be tipping off against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and we are going to be full out right here on, if you don't like that, covering the team, pre, post, halftime shows, just like the last couple of years. So when I say we've made it, we have made it through the slow time. We are here. We are back. We are ready to roll. We heard Tom Brady at the start of the show, by the way. What did you think of Tom Brady's debut? NFL on Fox. I've got thoughts on that. I will also, again, give you an update, give you a download on the Wisco trip. What an incredible trip. What an incredible state. Some of you might be like, why did you go to Wisconsin? What's in Wisconsin? Well, if you don't know about Wisco, just turn off the TV right now. I don't want everybody to get in on this secret. However, I think it did kind of get leaked on national TV. More on that later. But hey, let's kick it off. I'm going to go straight to the phones. Oh, actually, you know what? Before I go to the phones, let's go here really quick. This is our Yahoo Pick'em League with If You Don't Like That. Grant and I, you guys can pick every single game against the spread. It's not too late to get in. The information's down on the bottom in the ticker. You can still, you'll miss week one, obviously, but not too late to hop in. We've got some great prizes for you, by the way. We've got 2 different $100 gift cards that have been donated to the channel so generously. Kathy Griffiths, thank you very much. The second donation would like to remain anonymous, but we thank you very much too. But anyways, here's how the top goes right now. Corn Dog. Yes, I just said it. The guy that sometimes waits on hold for, I don't know, 30, 40, 50 minutes, falls asleep. We have guests that are like excited, like, oh yeah, let's take some calls. And Corn Dog's, and I can't blame the dude. I mean, he overdosed on Olympic volleyball. I mean, he knew everything about the Olympics, but what about the NFL pick'em pool? Are you kidding me? 10 games, right? Corn Dog, dude, you better start thinking about typing out that 2-week notice to Costco. Vegas does not do that well, my man. So good job by you. Let's bring him in right now since he is atop the standings. Corn Dog, you got a haircut too. Look at you.
Woo! Yep, it is a new haircut. Kind of went with it on a whim not that long ago. I decided to change it up a bit, and here you are back from Wisconsin.
Yes, indeed. It looks good, brother.
Thanks,
I like it. All right.
My only problem with your Wisconsin trip is you picked the wrong week, man. This was the week they go when they're playing Alabama.
Yeah,
this was the week.
Yeah, we weren't in that part of the state, so we were in Green Bay. But yeah, no, they've got a big one coming up. I've got my thoughts on college football. I know you do as well. So the floor is yours. What do you want to talk about, buddy?
So I'm guessing after this week, you as an Irish fan will never ever consider getting a Husky.
Oh my gosh. No, you know what? It's to be expected. I was going to say not to be unexpected. That's a double negative. You don't do that in radio. No, it's typical Irish. Under Marcus Freeman, the offense looked constipated. You've got Riley Leonard, who is not a pocket passer. You got to use him in options and get him out of the pocket. And that's what happens. NIU is not a bad program. No. And I think, to be honest, and Finchy, sorry I didn't text you back, because, in fact, I got off the plane, Corn Dog, and I get this text from Finchy, like, I can't believe this happened, or something along those lines. And I'm like, oh, God, what did I miss? Like, I'm thinking something happened with the Kings, something happened with Grant, like, you know, but it was the Irish losing. I'm like, oh, all right, there you go. But I think they were rated too high, man. Number 5, way too high.
Preseason rankings really, are not favorable because, a lot of teams, if they get overrated at the start, they stay. Because honestly, Clemson, because they were rated so high at the start, they still ended up being a top 25 after that Georgia loss. And I would not put them top 25 after that loss, even if they did clobber App State the next week. You don't get points for clobbering App State. That's what you're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
And then Notre Dame, 2 blocked field goals from Northern Illinois. That's just the team wanting it more. 1 blocked field goal is bad enough. 2, you're not wanting it.
So you look at a program like NIU. Let's be conservative and say maybe you have 3, 4 guys that might get a look in the NFL. In the NFL. Maybe you have 1 guy that gets drafted off that team. Everybody else, this is their Super Bowl. You're playing at Notre freaking Dame with the Irish coming out of the tunnel. What do you expect? You're going to get their best shot. And just what you said, absolutely wanting more plays into that.
And you could see that from that post-game interview with the coach, and he was so emotional. I mean, he played for that program before he got the coaching gig. It was that school's first win versus a top 10 team. It was the tied for largest upset at Notre Dame with a 28-point favorite. It was the first time a MAC school won against the top 10 team. So many, just shattered glass just happened. And there was one reaction I saw on an Instagram where he said, I want everyone fired. I want the concessions fired. I want the coach fired. I want the AD fired. I want the priest fired.
Yeah. It's that rubbernecking after a loss like that. It is what it is. They've got enough of a season to possibly bounce back from it. I mean, to me, when you look at college football in the AP top 25, I said this before the season started, I'm looking at the Vegas lines. That's how I'm judging teams. Vegas is usually never wrong. And, Notre Dame, they were up there, but not up there within the realm of 5th in the country. And you look at some of these other teams, like the thing that bugged me, Corn Dog, was after that upset, you've got Boise State and Oregon that night. And everybody's like, oh, it's about to happen again. And I'm thinking, what the hell are you talking about? You're comparing NIU to Boise State?
Oh, no, wait. Boise State's been almost a power consider, at least some of the Kellen Moore, Doug Martin days. Like,
no doubt. The Fiesta Bowl.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, they were undefeated against Oregon going into
3-0. That's right.
And those were some good Oregon teams with some really high caliber quarterbacks. They had, championship hopes all those years they played Boise State, and a lot of people had them in their preseason those years, but they just ended up not beating Boise State those years. Boise State is very good. Honestly, if they just had more money, they would be in a Power 5 conference.
No doubt. And to me, they completely outplayed Oregon in that game. I mean, I don't know. And there's a play from that's in the Ry-Dohs, but
you know what? Good teams find a way to do it.
They did.
I'm not saying Oregon's a good team, but you know what? Clearly, some of their 5-star talent did show up when needed, and sometimes that can just take over a game. We see it time and time where Steph Curry can take over a Warriors deficit.
No doubt. So I had a take centered around this, but since you're here and you're kind of the college football guy, do you think Nebraska should be in the top 25 right now?
I have Nebraska winning 10 games now.
God.
I have them winning 10.
So you are Nebraska is back guy. Nebraska is back.
You know what? Nebraska's back and Tennessee's back. I have both of them winning 10 games. Like, I had Tennessee winning 10 games in my preseason, but you know what? I'm for sure Tennessee's going to win 10, and I'm for sure Nebraska's going to win 10 right now.
Holy crap.
I do not see where Nebraska, because Nebraska plays at the line of scrimmage very well with a very veteran line group on both sides. That's hard to upset because they can ground and pound if they need to. And as long as, again, their quarterback, true freshman, as long as he just doesn't turn the ball over, which he did against Colorado, they will be fine because they have that strong front 7 on the defense, that strong front 5 on the offense. And look here, they got Northern Iowa, Illinois, Purdue, Rutgers, Indiana, then Ohio State. They could be going into that game 7-0. Then UCLA, USC, Wisconsin, Iowa. I think only Ohio
That's a
State
hell of a stretch. That's a hell of a stretch, though.
Yeah, I just think that Ohio State and USC are the only ones that are truly better than them.
Mm-hmm.
So, but again, I'm uncertain on Wisconsin until this game versus Bama. But I can really see reality where Nebraska's 10 wins and fighting for a playoff spot.
Well, first off, Dylan Raiola, he's what, Patty Mahomes Jr.?
Yeah, he's got the Oakleys on.
He looks like Patty, he tries to play like Patty. But the thing that impressed me, I don't disagree with you about the line play, but Matt Rule, the fact that Nebraska was so balanced, they were perfectly balanced almost between the run and the pass. And I guess it's the Colorado sample size. Their line is terrible. Oh. Look, I'm giving up my Ry-Dohs now. Their line was in one of the Ry-Dohs. Oh. But so I don't know how to judge it, right? They showed up on a big game, big stage, but Colorado sucks.
Look, and you know what? This is going to be a bigger problem with Coach Prime because he's not going to have Shedeur and Travis Hunter next go around.
It's very true.
Yeah, because now we know he can't recruit line. Let's see how good he can recruit a quarterback that isn't in his back door, 365 days a year, which got him Travis Hunter because Travis Hunter and Shedeur are best buddies. So let's see how really good Dion is at recruiting because really his best 2 players were just basically gifted to him. And the rest has clearly been, a bunch of guys that really don't deserve to be, playing honestly as high caliber Colorado should be. 90s Colorado, late 80s, they were a force. They were competing with Nebraska. They were still a pretty big force throughout the late 90s too. Like Colorado was a very dominant program. A lot of people don't remember that, but they had guys like Cordell Stewart, Joel Klatt, like fantastic guy. Yeah, Colorado deserves a lot better than this.
So the one thing about Nebraska, so everything you said about Colorado, completely on point. But when it comes to, sorry, my wife texted me.
That's sweetheart. Okay, wife first, man. You don't want to be in the doghouse.
Okay, I might be back late. All right, no worries, sweetheart. We got it. We're holding it down. But Nebraska, they're doing it the opposite way of a lot of other teams. They had I think it was 7 players from the transfer portal. They're recruiting. They're keeping guys. They only had, I believe, 4 that left. So that's usually how traditional college football powerhouses build up programs into, I don't want to say dynasties, but teams that are perennial, championship contenders. So you could be right. We'll see.
Well, yeah, this is how a lot of teams still have to do. Now, again, people rag on Clemson for it. Clemson's still going to be a 9-10 win team. They're just not going to be able to compete with those Georgias and Texases of the world. But you know what? They're in the ACC. They will be fine. Because Dabo's still really good at recruiting high schoolers. Again, Georgia, most of their starters are still homegrown, the high school recruits. Texas, same thing. They did not lose a lot of people. They were still able to keep an Arch Manning in their pocket. Everybody and their mother wants Arch Manning to quarterback their school. But Texas is saying, you know what, we're going to pay out this money to keep not only 1, but 2 high-level, Heisman-level quarterbacks because that's what we need.
Fair enough. Look at Mark going inside Wisco. Yes, Mark cringled out. By the way, Mark, I only had 2 pieces of that thing. In fact, I'm pretty sure it says it on the box. If you have more than 2 pieces, you will be a diabetic. But those things are freaking incredible Kringles. So basically, for everybody that does not know what a Kringle is, it is this giant, it's a mix between a croissant and a donut. And they're stuffed with either pecans and caramel apple, almond stuff. Oh, dude. Wisco, the cheese curds too. Whew. Killing me, Mark.
Cheese curds? Ooh.
Whew. Okay, so Corn Dog, let's talk about the fantasy league really quick. You got 10. You're tied, though, with B-Rose stacking C Notes. That's one of the better names in the league. He's got 10, or they have 10 too. Latavia? I got to be careful how I say that one. I think somebody's trying to get me hooked with that name. They've got 9. Blue Chaos 9 this week. Royalty Purple 9. Maximus 209. Who's Maximus 209? Let me in on the secret, because I know that's you. Have two. You got 2 teams, brother. Are you playing us here?
No.
Yeah.
If I had 2, I would just pick the opposites on.
There you go. Then you got BJ. Actually, BJ's a little bit further down, but he is up there. You've got the pick is in Casey 11, and then BJ with 8, and then Bane, my man, you're rounding out the top 10 with 8 too. So a good week for some of you here in If You Don't Like That in the King's Court.
Well, you know what? I'm going to give props to Latavia for being the only one in the top at least like 10 that had New England in that game.
Oh, so you've been looking at other people's picks.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. I'm going to give Latavia a lot of props there. I did not have that one at all. I know me and B-Row, we went opposites on the Kansas City, Baltimore, and the Houston Indy, which is why we ended up tied. But yeah, again, Latavia, mad props on picking that New England. I would not have picked New England. New England, again, honestly, I still wouldn't pick New England if they played again.
I picked New England.
Well, where are you at?
Well, when I look at my Yahoo fantasy thing, it says I'm at the top, but no, I think I'm like 4 and something. Not very good.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh.
So anyways, but love it, man. So when you go to the barber, if anybody wants to get a haircut like yours, what do you tell them to do?
You know what? Now I'm going to make sure you just got to say, I want the corn dog.
You want the corn dog. All right.
Yeah, that's going to be the new barber sling. I want the corn dog.
All right. I love it, brother. Dude, good to have you back. Good to see you. Thanks for kicking us off here on a Monday.
One last thing, though.
Yeah.
I thought Tom Brady was okay in his debut. It was a little shaky, for my opinion. I don't know. Maybe I feel like the mic was cutting out a little bit sometimes. I don't know.
No, that was Tom's breathing.
Yeah, something. Yeah, I feel like they were trying to fix that, but yeah, it was a little shaky again. First time doing something different.
100%. What do you expect? The MVP that you're like taking like my entire show here. I'm hitting on like things I was going to hit on, but that's all right. The MVP of that was Kevin Burkhardt. Oh. Kevin Burkhardt babied Tom through that broadcast, and he found a way, even though there was a lot of awkward moments at times, he found a way to really smooth over some more of those awkward silences or moments that would have been more awkward than you heard on the broadcast.
Well, yeah, and I mean, they put him right with the Cowboys broadcast, which is already going to be the most watched regardless if Brady's there or not. But obviously,
you have to. You're paying the guy like $325 million.
You have to, because you're paying him like he's not your rookie broadcast. He is your rookie broadcaster, but because he comes with 7 Super Bowl rings and Netflix roast and commercials and stuff, he's obviously got to be in a top billing. Which again, as he said, with rookie quarterbacks, he thinks it's a travesty they get thrown out into the fire. Kind of a travesty that a first-time broadcaster is getting thrown into a Cowboys game.
No, stop it. If you're making $325 million, and here's the other thing, he's had like a year to practice. He called the Super Bowl. They called the Super Bowl on a practice broadcast last year. Like, no. You've got it. No, here, I'm not saying you have to be perfect, but absolutely you're going to be on the A team, the A broadcast. You have to be featured. People are tuning in to listen to him or see how he does. Now, I'll say this. I will take him still over Tony Romo, as crazy as that sounds. Tony Romo has not gotten any better. In fact, he's gotten worse. And I don't know how Jim Nantz has not smacked the hell or smacked the mic off of Tony's face, because Tony just steps all over him. He takes his sentences. He stomps on his points, and it is getting ridiculous. Like, mute the game. Ridiculous.
Yeah, Tony Romo, it has, at first I was fine with it when he first did maybe the first 2 years, but now it's just gotten a little all wacky out of hand. And, maybe I'm just spoiled from being a Kings fan to where my broadcast team is Grant and Jerry for
Sure.
so many years. So, I'm just spoiled from, having basically the best, if or one of the best. I mean, I haven't heard every single broadcast team every night. Obviously, I heard Grant and Jerry the most by like far. Maybe John Madden and Al Michaels was probably my second most that I've watched, and then probably Troy Aikman and Joe Buck would probably be the top three that I've listened to the most, just based off of the games I watch, and obviously the football ones are pretty much the prime time guys. But yeah, so a little spoiled, John Madden, obviously Grant and Jerry, fantastic.
No doubt.
So, again, so when it's talking like that during broadcast, or when I'm just kind of annoyed, I'm kind of maybe multitasking, during that game at that point. Maybe I'm folding laundry or something, so I'm not really paying attention too much to the commentary, or I'm just sweeping or something. If I'm already like, okay, this game ain't worth my full attention. The plays are worth the attention, but the commentary and stuff not gonna be worth my attention. I'm gonna just multitask.
Love it, dude. Hey, thanks for kicking us off, man.
Oof, yep. Welcome back.
Appreciate it, dude. So happy to be back. Missed all of you for sure. I was actually a little nervous sitting back down in this chair. It's not easy taking a week and a half off and then cracking the mic open without being awkward. So it's going all right so far. The plane is up and the plane is steady. As long as we can get it landed, we are good. Thanks, Corn Dog.
All right, later.
Later, brother. That is Corn Dog. If any of you would like to call, love to have you as well. Look, I've got a lot to talk about, which certainly we're going to get to the chat. I don't want to ignore you guys either, but certainly am open to taking your calls. We have not been together here in a couple of weeks, so about 10 days, 11 days. So yeah, if you want to call in, the link is there. Also, it's on the screen. Appreciate you picking me up there, Peter. I am 6-10. Yes, not so good. But look, it's a long season. And like Mark said, I was crinkled out. Can you blame me? I was on a sugar rush, sugar and dairy between all the cheese and the bratwurst there. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we'll talk some more about all that as well. Corn Dog looking like the Costco version of Tim Tebow. But what makes him the Costco version of Tim Tebow? Are you calling Corn Dog fat? Are you saying that Corn Dog is the bigger size of Tim Tebow? I hope you're not doing that, Alberto. Adam, it's the only way that we've been spoiled as Kings fans. Yeah, I've said it all the time. Anybody that is following Grant and Jerry, impossible task. It's literally impossible, just because of the emotional connection that they have made with this fan base, and they're like family members to you guys. Jerry is like the grandpa of Sacramento for Kings fans, so it's really, really difficult. But that being said, getting back to Tom and Kevin, look, I can't say enough about Kevin Burkhardt. He really, and that is not my game, by the way. I could never call a game. Doing this and doing that are completely separate. But the way that he helped Tom through that broadcast, brought Tom back, reeled him in at times, was really good. And the only thing Tom, and it's a natural thing. One, you're amped up, right? It's completely natural to have the adrenaline going. Tom cares. He wants to perform well. But it's another to be, it was almost like Tom at times was watching the game as a fan. Did anybody catch that? Like the oohs, the ahs, like almost like he was on his couch watching it. So those are all things that'll get cleaned up. The breathing definitely needs to get cleaned up as well. Let's see. I'm going to go from the bottom up. Dennis, what's up, my man? You lost by 0.5, 1 and 2. Picking against the spread is difficult, dude. Let's go Niners. Yep, we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. A big decision for the Niners tonight. A really big decision. What are you doing with Christian McCaffrey? To me, it feels like you could probably win this game without him. I do feel that way. And a lot of what I'm going to be watching is Dominic Pooney on the right side of the line. He has impressed the hell out of me through training camp. I want to see what he does tonight, opposite or on the other side with Trent Williams and going up against Quinnen Williams in that Jets defense, which is excellent. That's going to be a great thing to watch. Seriously, if you've never done it, just keep your eyes on the line for a few plays. It's really fun to watch. And look, defense yesterday dominated. I believe it was offensive, total offensive yards and passing yards. Both were at 20-year lows for the start of the season. So it's all about defense, and quarterbacks that did not play in the preseason, they did not do well yesterday, which was no surprise whatsoever. Adam got a new haircut with all the money he won on it. Dude, I don't know if he's betting. I don't know if he's actually betting. He should be if he continues picking 10 games. And it's not just him. B Rose stacking C notes has 10. There's multiple with 9, multiple with 8. That is really good. Really good. Peter, where are you at, Peter? I didn't see where you're at. He's the defending champion. That's where the bar is at. So I want to see what Peter did this last week. Fitchy heard it was a baked sausage party in Wisco. All right, here we go. Here we go. What do you mean a baked sausage party? No, he is not. Don't give him that. That
don't make no sense.
There you go. That's more like it. Baked sausage. You don't bake sausages. You grill sausages. Or if it's a bratwurst, you boil them, right? And then you grill them, and then you don't poke them. I learned you do not poke them. If you poke them, all the juice comes out. So again, I'll get you updated on the Wisco trip. That thing took a life of its own. There was a very unexpected twist to that week. Some of you may know what I'm talking about, but it was really cool. I'll just put it that way. Yep, Sea Dog's picks are nice. Bane, what's up, my man? Miss you too, brother. Happy to be back. Bret Hart's coming back tonight? Really? Bret Hart is coming back. All right. I wonder what that's about. And Tony Khan, my man, you could easily be back in the Ry-Dohs today. I'm giving you the week off, Tony. That Daniel Bryan stunt where you put a bag over somebody's head like you're killing them, and then you're like, oh, it's too graphic to put on social media. What are we doing? Come on. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're going to get back to the show. So let's talk a little bit about tonight. Last time, 9 people watching is tough. Well, Adrian, that's the thing. There's 9 watching on YouTube. You're not looking at the X numbers, my man. We've had at least 100 check in so far today. But you know what? I will do this show if there is 1 person watching, Adrian. So thanks for the update. By the way, make sure you give us a thumbs up, give us a like. Would really appreciate that as well. Yeah, I'm with you, Chili Dog. Oh, we have a Chili Dog now. We have a Chili Dog. Ladies and gentlemen, the King's Court has another dog, and it is a Chili Dog. Wow, Chili Dog. Now, forgive me, Chili Dog, if you've been here before, but I just don't remember Chili Dog. But all right, well done. Well done. All right, so getting back to tonight. Last time I checked, 4-point spread. The big question is what Aaron Rodgers is going to show up tonight, right? 40 years old, coming off of a torn Achilles. I don't need to reset the entire thing with Aaron, but, you know, that's a long time to be off football. That is a long time. And look at some of these guys that didn't play in the preseason, that played all last year under center, and they struggled mightily yesterday. And again, to be expected in week 1 of the NFL season. And there were certainly some surprises. Sam Darnold, look, these bounce backs, and I'm not going to say Sam Darnold is back. I'm not going to say he is back and he's the next Geno Smith, but there's a path for these quarterbacks now that struggled initially. Baker Mayfield, excellent as well. Can Sam Darnold keep it up in Minnesota? Now, again, was against the Giants, and the Giants, I feel so bad for Napes and his Giants. They're celebrating their 100th anniversary. They pull out the ugliest uniforms I have ever seen. Yes, uglier than the Kings satin gold, whatever you want to call it, uglier than the Packers gold uniforms with the round thing that had the numbers inside of it, uglier than all of those. But the Giants, they redo. They're like, look, we lose Saquon, who, by the way, scores 3 touchdowns in his debut for Philadelphia. But they're like, we're gonna go back to the basics. We're gonna retool the lines. We're gonna take care of the offensive line. We're gonna take care of the defensive line, right? Bring in Brian Burns. What happens defensively? They only got to the quarterback twice. Twice the entire game, they touched the quarterback. Think about that. They got absolutely dominated. And then Danny Dimes does what he does, throws a pick 6 that looked damn near identical to the one that he threw in the preseason. It was all downhill from there. So I don't know how I got on this Giants tangent. No, Adam, no. Adam, no. We're not doing that. Okay. Clearly, some of you know what I was talking about with the Wisco thing, because this is taking way too much of a Jim Rome turn right now. Getting too clone-ish up in here. But back to tonight. Aaron Rodgers, what's he going to do? What's he going to look like? Now, San Francisco, they have questions of their own. Brandon Ayuk, is he going to have a full workload? Number one, that entire situation has taken... I feel like it took the wind out of the Niners' sails this offseason. This offseason seems like it couldn't have gone less to plan for the 49ers. And I talked about it before I left for vacation, and I know he signed right after the last show that we did here. But I talked about how there was a fracture, and there was numerous reports on what was going on in San Francisco and why the situation was so fluid. And then all of a sudden, he's no longer a hold in, he's a hold out, he's cleared by the doctors. Well, it came down to this, y'all. It came down to this. He showed up to the facility and found out he was being traded that day to the Steelers. He showed up and found out he was being traded to the Steelers. He got there early, looked for Coach Shanahan. They ended up coming together. The Niners were under the impression it was done. It was already done. They gave Brandon until the end of practice to take the deal that had been on the table for at least a week, maybe 2 weeks. And he ends up taking the deal. But think about that whole thing. How that goes. It doesn't necessarily bring a team together. I know Grant always talks about business is business, play is play, but you do need to have a level of time together offensively. You got to get your reps in. I don't care that he's played with the Niners for 3 or 4 years and that he's played pretty much the entire time Brock's been there and they have a connection. No. It doesn't matter. You have to still get the timing right. Things change. Brandon can work out all he wants by himself, but that doesn't mean that he has an NFL quarterback opposite him during his workouts. He probably doesn't even have an NFL quarterback throwing the ball to him in his workout. So Brandon Ayuk, is he going to be effective tonight? I think he will. Offensively, receivers, you saw it yesterday. CeeDee Lamb, he played really well regardless of getting his deal late and joining camp late, which brings me to my next question. Christian McCaffrey, we talked about it at the top of the show. Do you play him or do you sit him? Right now, it's a 4-point spread the last time I checked in favor of the Niners. I think the Niners can still cover that spread even without Christian. If there is even a hint, and I mean a hint of something going on with that Achilles, I think it's a no-brainer. You got to sit him tonight. I think this Niners team, as I said before, they've got depth at the running back position. I think they are good enough to beat this Jets team. And short of Aaron Rodgers coming out and having just a Brett Favre in Oakland game, I don't know how the Jets are going to pull this one off. And I could be completely wrong, but I just have a really hard time believing that Aaron Rodgers, the MVP version of Aaron Rodgers, is going to show up tonight in San Francisco. And I hope for his sake that I am wrong. I hope he plays well. I hope he doesn't get hurt. I hate seeing anybody get hurt, whether they're on your fantasy team or not. You hate to see it. It was a big storyline throughout the preseason. But to me, with all the factors in place, you've got Trent Williams signed. If Christian, who is listed as questionable as we sit right now, if there is a question about it, do not play him. Let me know what you guys think. Which way you going tonight? You going Niners or you going Jets? I'm not going to go through and look at all of your picks in the league, so put them in the chat. Who you got? And by the way, what a terrible time, and I mean a terrible time, for ESPN to pull this crap with DirecTV. Are you kidding me? Niners fans, if you have DirecTV, what are you doing for the game? Yeah, I know you can hook up a digital antenna, but those things are kind of a pain in the butt sometimes. And I'm speaking from my own experience. You're basically, and I'm going to give you a hack, by the way. If you have ESPN Plus, if you go to the multicast, that will allow the game to come up, or at least with the college football game that was on Channel 10 on Saturday, it allowed the game to come up even though DirecTV is blocking ESPN programming. So that might help you out, but how are you watching the game? Let me know for sure. We're going to be taking some more calls here in a second. You know what? Why don't we hit the calls right now? I see my man Alex waiting. Alex, welcome in. Welcome back to the King's Court today, buddy. How you doing?
What's up, Rhino? How's your vacation, man?
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. Thank you for asking.
Of course. You don't have any of the post-vacation sicknesses. I know a lot of times people come back, including myself. We get the sniffles and stuff like that after going away for some time. You're all good? 100% healthy?
All good, dude. 100% healthy. The travel. So I did the red eye to Wisco, and I did the reverse red eye, the early morning back home.
Nice.
And it was pretty easy. I only had a 3-hour layover in Chicago each way. So yeah, all good.
Fantastic to hear, man. I did want to talk a little bit about MMA, maybe a little MMA Monday thing going on today.
Yeah, throw it in.
So this week, I know you're not super into it, but you've tried here and there these past couple of months, weeks, etc. But this coming weekend is a huge event for the UFC. They're calling it Noches and UFC. It's a Mexican-themed event. It's UFC 306 or 305, I forget which one. But it's going to be the first UFC event at the Sphere in Las Vegas. So they're ramping it up super big. There's a really stacked card. So I don't know. Have you heard of it? Have you heard any mentions of it? Or is it the first time you're hearing from it?
Okay, so I didn't know it was centered around, Mexican culture and Mexican fighters, but you and I did talk about the event being at the Sphere, and that really got my attention. The NHL Draft did their award show and also the draft at the Sphere, but as you said, this is the first time there's actually going to be a sporting event there, and for me, as somebody that watches WWE, that casually watches MMA, I 100% would pay the money to see what that's going to look like and just the glitz and the glamour of it.
Oh yeah, it should be fantastic. Even if you've seen a little bit of the Sphere already, just with social media, all the graphics they do, and all those technological advances that they have. We're very curious to see what they do for this big marquee event. And another thing too, it's going head to head with Canelo. He's also fighting this weekend. On the same day too, and that's a really big, obviously, Hispanic culture, almost holiday too, seeing Canelo fight. And the last time that happened, Canelo actually didn't fight until the main event happened. I don't know if you remember that.
No, fill us in.
So the main event was Nate Diaz versus Jorge Masvidal, two really big stars in MMA. And Canelo was fighting Triple G, I think. I don't remember 100%. So they actually postponed the main event for Canelo for about 45 minutes to an hour to wait till the UFC event finished, which was Jorge Masvidal and Nate Diaz, because MMA is so damn popular. I'm assuming
Right.
boxing wanted to capitalize on as much pay-per-views as possible because people don't buy the boxing events for the whole card. They buy
Spot
it
on.
just for the main event usually, which is just a different tactic that they do. And I'm assuming it's going to be the same thing this weekend too.
But he's fighting. So the Canelo fight, correct me if
Mhm.
I'm wrong, it's on like the season where you have to have a
Oh, the
subscription.
zone,
The
yeah,
zone. Okay.
yeah.
Is it on traditional pay-per-view as well?
It's the zone pay-per-view, so you have to have the DAZN subscription, kind of like ESPN Plus, and then you have
Okay.
to buy the pay-per-view after you have the DAZN subscription. So there's two paywalls basically.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
So I could, so if they were on a traditional pay-per-view and you
Yeah.
didn't have to go through both paywalls, I think it's a brilliant move because a lot of people that are going to be watching UFC are going to be throwing a few back, right? And then
Yep.
it's like, oh, Canelo's fighting, what the hell? I'll just throw $70 on it, $80 on it. But
Yeah.
I don't know, those extra steps make it a little bit difficult, but I don't know. Maybe that's something they work out behind the scenes. You know, boxing's got to do something, Alex, because to me, it's dead. Jake Paul is the only person keeping it alive.
Dude, no, I agree 100%. I like seeing the heavyweights fight just because there's almost always a knockout. But Tyson Fury, who's one of the boxing champs, he he doesn't fight a whole lot, and like I said, a lot of those heavyweights don't market them either. I don't know what it is with boxing. I think Canelo maybe gets the most attention or marketability or campaign or whatever you want to call it. It's not like the Floyd Mayweathers from back in the day. You know what I mean? It's just a whole different ball game. MMA is so popular right now. You even get crossovers, like you get the Ryan Garcias of the world putting training videos with Sugar Sean O'Malley, who's gonna fight this weekend. That's the main event: Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Merab Delavishi. Should be a fantastic fight. I'm looking forward to it. I'm pulling for Sugar Sean, but it's gonna be probably his toughest test to date. Sugar Sean has fought guys that do grapple because that's one of his weaknesses. But Merab, that's his specialty, is to grapple. And I'm a little worried. Sugar Sean's a little bit skinny. People say sometimes, a little bit light in the ass. So it's going to be tough for him to get the onslaught of Merab. But I think it should be fun. If Sugar Sean catches him, I think he'll retain. But the overall card is great. Again, if you have time, I think you should check it out. I'm going to do a preview show on my stuff a little bit later in the week. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to this fight, to this card.
Tell everybody what you do and where they can find you.
Oh yeah, definitely. So I have on Instagram it's official Hair in the Beard Pod. On YouTube it's the Hair in the Beard Podcast. Basically just do weekly clip shows. So MMA, sometimes boxing, some WWE, NBA when the season is on, NFL, which is on fire right now, and then a lot of times movie reviews too. So if there's a movie that catches my eye, I'll watch it, I'll review it. Sometimes shows as well. So kind of a little bit of everything. When I first started doing it, I wanted to be a hybrid of Joe Rogan and meets ESPN, which in retrospect, that's kind of like what Pat McAfee is. He's a guy that gets on there, cusses, it's crazy, but then it talks about sports. Interviews people, or somebody like a current Shannon Sharp, who he's in the pop culture world, but he does sports, but he does great interviews. So a little bit of everything. And when I first started too, I was doing a lot of interviews. I interviewed Bruce Buffer, a bunch of MMA fighters, and a couple of NFL.
Bruce Buffer?
Yeah, that was probably my most marquee interview I've done. I talked to him for about 40 minutes. I talked to his agent, and his agent said, "Oh, he has 15 minutes." And I said, "Oh, I'll take 5 minutes. I don't care." So when I was talking to him, he was real gracious with his time, and he kept going. And I was like, "Hey, if we need to get you out of here," like, "No, it's okay. I'll make time for you." So we put on about 35, 40 minutes, which was awesome. And yeah, it was really great. It was on about maybe a year and a half ago or so. I don't remember, but I was going really hard with the interviews back then. Now I'm really busy with my work schedule. I just do a lot of clip shows.
Cool. Well, we'll go check that out for sure. Thanks for
man.
MMA Monday, brother.
Yeah, of course. You take it easy, man. Have a great rest of your week. I know you're dusting up the cobwebs right now because you've been on vacation, but
yeah,
it's already been a fun show. So have a good one, and I'll probably see you again next Monday.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Alex. Good job by Alex. The event at the Spear is going to be incredible. like I said, I don't pay usually for pay-per-views. There's alternate ways to get them. No, I'm not saying that I pirate, but to see that atmosphere, to see just the spectacle. I go back to that of an event there, the first event there. I mean, just go look up the Spear and U2 on YouTube sometimes, and it's incredible. The graphics. I just want to see what the setup's going to be, but looks like it'll be a big fight night. You got college football as well, and then you'll have week 2 of the NFL. We've got football tonight. Don't forget about that. We got the Niners and the Jets. Chili Dog putting his pick in, by the way. Where was it at, Chili? There we go. He's saying the Jets win the AFC East. So Chili is in the corner that Aaron's going to stay healthy. All right, 49ers are winning tonight. So interesting, really quick, Grant, if you listen to his NFC preview, he does not have the Niners winning the NFC West. He's got the Rams winning the NFC West. I mean, he might be onto something. I'm not going to make too much out of one game, but last night was a very good showing for them in a loss. Cooper Kupp, hell of a performance. Matthew Stafford had his struggles, but still played a hell of a game. That is a hard place to play in Detroit, but the Rams look pretty damn solid. I'm not going to talk about my Seahawks. Ugly win. Ugly, ugly, ugly. Anytime somebody plays the Seahawks, Cody, I don't know if you're out there listening, you're always going to have wacky scores with the Seahawks because the games are always ugly. At one point, the score was 5-3 in this game, Denver over Seattle. Incredible stuff, but Seattle pulls that one out 26-20. Happy to have everybody here back at it on the King's Court Live. Ryan and Sacktown with you. We're brought to you by Bennett's West Side Grill in Rockland. Hopefully you went and checked out the brunch there this last weekend. Also, go to bennettsrestaurants.com because you can learn about all of their locations. The West Side Grill is in Rockland. It's their newest in the Blue Oaks Town Center. They don't just have brunch specials. They have incredible dining specials during the week. Don't take it from me. Take it from them.
Serving the freshest handcrafted foods in a warm, convivial setting. Enjoy our weekend bubbles and brunch, an inflation-busting happy hour with handcrafted cocktails offered 7 days a week. Join us Mondays for a wine and dine deal, 2 entrees, 2 salads, and a bottle of wine. We offer a wine list with 60 selections by the glass, and they go great with our handcrafted desserts. As for craving, every day we feature our prime seafood and house-cut steaks. Come enjoy our hospitality. Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Eat well, stay well.
Eat well, stay well. Go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com. You can make reservations, buy gift cards, and much more. Huge thanks to Brian and the team for sponsoring us today. Also, don't forget, tomorrow, 3 o'clock, Grant and Sean Salisbury back here breaking down week 1 of the NFL season. Those shows are always a ton of fun, so make sure you are here for that. Now, Tuesdays are Jerry Reynolds Tuesdays here on the King's Court. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to run a King's Court night show. We're going to do a night court tomorrow night, and we will pre-tape the Jerry segment. So tune in for that. We will still have Jerry. It'll just be pre-taped. So if you want to get some questions in for Jerry, here's what I'm going to have you do. Hit me up on my X account at Ryan_in_Sacktown. Shoot your questions there. I will get to as many as I can with Jerry. But definitely tomorrow, 3 o'clock, tune in. Grant and Sean talking about week 1 of the NFL season. First time they will be getting at it this year. Looking forward to it very much. Look, I'm not going to do a ton of Ry-Dohs today because we're getting back into the groove of things. But I got to hit on this Noah Whittington thing. Anybody watching Boise State and Oregon, it was a great game. Boise State dominated that game. And Oregon, in fact, Boise State scored 14 off of an Oregon turnover. And you thought that Boise was shutting the door on Oregon. And what happens? Whittington returns the damn kickoff. He's to the 20, to the 15, to the 10, to the 5, goal line, touchdown. But there's this thing that I don't know if it's like some type of inside betting or a contest with these players now, that who can drop the ball the closest to the goal line. But it's like as soon as the ball gets within the range of the goal line, these guys think it's a hot lava rock and can't drop it quick enough. Noah dropped the ball before he crossed the goal line. However, it was still ruled a touchdown because his teammate picked it up. So, Deshaun Jackson, he's in this club. I could go on for days. It is the most perplexing thing to me. Somebody fill me in. Seriously. Tell me why players got to drop the ball as quick as possible when they get to the end zone. It makes no sense. I don't understand it. He almost cost his team the game. Think about that. And I'm sure he cost a lot of you prop bettors some money. Anybody that's doing some in-game betting that took maybe a kickoff return in the second half, that would have paid pretty well. Too bad it wasn't a kickoff return for a touchdown. It was a fumble recovery for a touchdown. I get that they got 6 points either way, but come on. Can you imagine if that mistake would have cost Oregon the game? Incredible. Absolutely incredible. I feel for the kid, but I don't get it. He is one of the many that have either done it or have come as close as possible to doing it. And for my money, it is one of the most confusing things in football. I can understand a defense more than I can understand guys that drop the damn ball before they cross the goal line or drop it as soon as they cross the style points. What's cool about it though, Bane? That's my point. Like, what's cool about dropping the football as quickly as possible? Like, isn't an end zone celebration cooler than that? And I know the NCAA is kind of getting a little bit more lenient on that, but come on, man. Come on. What do you say to your coach? What do you say to your teammates in those situations? What is the explanation? I was stupid? There's nothing more than I was stupid. It's just so dumb. I don't get it. But again, they ended up still getting the 6, and it was all good. Chili Dog, Rams are a playoff team, though the 49ers have the Avengers. Yeah, well, they do. But again, this offseason, this preseason, to me, has not gone to plan for them. In fact, it has been probably the bumpiest offseason that they've had in a really long time. And on top of that, they've played a lot of football. The Niners have played a lot of football the last couple seasons. NFC Championship, Super Bowl, the last 2 years specifically. So I don't know how big of a toll that takes on a team, but I've got to think mentally it takes a toll. If there's a Super Bowl hangover, what's the hangover called for a team like the Niners that have been at the doorstep of the Super Bowl, that were a coaching mistake away from winning the Super Bowl? So we'll see. I just don't have my money in them. In Green Bay, right? A lot of people picked Green Bay to come out of the NFC. This Jordan Love injury, thank goodness it's only a sprained MCL. But think about how that changes things in the division. And Caleb Williams, he had a rough first outing, not a big surprise. But the one thing I do want to say about that outing, how many times in the lead up to this season and in the preseason have we heard about Caleb Williams that he's a quote unquote generational talent? If he was a generational talent, he would have came out and had a first game like LeBron had in Sacramento, where he just absolutely dominated. Generational is just that, generational. People have got to quit throwing that word around so much. Wembanyama, generational talent. Now, maybe because of his size. Had France knocked off USA in the Olympics, much stronger case there. But can we drop the generational stuff, please? Please, please, please. Let's see. MC, thanks, buddy. Happy to have you back here on the King's Court too. Patrick, off the clock, my man. Yes, the Titans did give that game away. You are absolutely right. The offense for Chicago could not do anything, but that Bears defense, it's a little stiff, but the Titans did blow that one at the end. That we could go down every single game if we wanted to, but I want to get to this. It's been and you know what? Let's acknowledge this really quick. The Tyreek Hill situation, it deserves equal attention. And I feel like it is not getting necessarily the equal attention that the Scotty Scheffler situation got. And I'm not quite sure why, right? Fox NFL Sunday, when they started their show, they didn't mention it for, I believe, at least 15, 20 minutes. And it had already been out in the press for probably a good hour and a half. If you don't know, Tyreek was pulled over on the way to the stadium, taken out of the car in handcuffs, taken to the ground, and eventually released and cited with some traffic citations. He did play and ended up scoring a touchdown, did a celebration with his hands behind his back. But look, it's too early to make any judgments on whether this was an overreaction by the police or whether it was warranted. A lot of his teammates saw it firsthand. They stopped to support him. Drew Rosenhaus, his agent, was right there as well. There's already a report via ESPN, I'm looking at it right now, that the police union is stating that Hill was uncooperative during the traffic stop. Here's the thing. So MC, okay, he wasn't arrested. Okay, you know, MC, that is a fair point. MC, that is a very fair point. You know what? Great point, MC. That is a great point. Scotty Scheffler was arrested. You are spot on. Scotty Scheffler was in jail. Tyreek Hill was not. He was detained. Great point by you. Very good job. Getting back to the police union already speaking up on the matter. These guys wear body cams. We're going to see what happened ultimately. It seems unnecessary. It seems like another run-in with law enforcement. You got Tyreek Hill taking the podium after the game saying that every profession has bad apples, but, you know, he respects law enforcement. At one point, he wants to become a cop after football. He has a law enforcement hat, yada, yada, yada. I guess my point being is why are these run-ins, they're just too constant. They're too often. We're seeing them so much on social media, and I don't know what to make of them. The Scotty Scheffler situation, and MC made a wonderful point. I'm going to put that back up because it really is a great point. And I've read some articles. I did not see that point made. That is really good, MC. But the Scotty Scheffler situation, you know, immediately there was questions about wrongdoing, right? And here, I think it's a little bit too early. I think there was a little bit more information on the Scotty Scheffler thing, but we'll see what comes of it. The law enforcement saying Tyreek was bad-mouthing them. Who knows? It's a he said, she said. Bain, Stephen A. Smith said it was a complete blasphemy and target racism. I'm not going there. That's crazy. That's on par for Stephen A. Smith. It's a rush to judgment. He is known for that. That's not what I'm getting at. I guess what I'm getting at is I want to make sure that it gets equal coverage if equal coverage is warranted, right? If there was something wrong with this arrest, just like what happened with Scotty Scheffler, right? It was warranted. And look, there's a reason. I've said this a million times that I call this the King's Court. I had a life before broadcasting and working with Grant, and it involved the law. So when the Scotty Scheffler thing happened, I was pretty in tune with the tells on how that was going to play out. With this situation, I have no idea. And so it's a little bit weird. We'll see what happens. The fact that he was able to play, good stuff. There was fans, but believe it or not, There was fans calling the jails thinking that he was in jail, offering to bail him out to get to the game. Think about that for a second. NFL fans. And by the way, terrible showing yesterday. Raiders fan, Chargers fan, terrible showing. Terrible, terrible, terrible. I have been a part of those hell weeks. I went to school at San Diego State. I went to many Charger Raiders games. The amount of fights that I saw on social media yesterday, and the teams didn't do any better for setting that tone, but the amount of fights and the amount of fans just standing there with their phones, watching people get kicked in the head, it's incredible. What do you do at this point? Do you just quit selling alcohol? That's never going to happen because they make too much money off of it. But teams are doing, look, the Niners changed what they're doing with tailgating this year. I don't know if people got to look at that, but I'm starting to see both sides of it. 'Cause there was videos that came out of somebody that was trying to break it up that ended up getting punched, kicked, yada, yada, yada. And so the rest is history. I'm tired of seeing this shit on social media. If you are taping a fight and putting it on social media, you're a garbage person, in my opinion, unless you are uploading it to the police. Somehow it leaks out. If you're just putting it up there for looks, get the hell out of here. Stop it. It's bad. I agree, Jake. How do you even make that assessment? And correct me if I'm wrong. There's an African-American police officer involved right there. So it's a rush to judgment. And that's why I say I want to hear more about what actually happened. If it's a traffic incident, why is he on the ground? Unless he was aggressive, he should be on, or should, unless he was, hold on, let me read that right. Unless he was aggressive, I think you meant shouldn't be on the ground. Well, it depends. I don't know about Tyreek's priors. Okay. And MC brought that up. So if he's on any type of probation that involves a felony battery, a felony, some type of violent crime, then they can escalate it to a higher, it's basically called a high risk stop. And that's involved with pulling somebody out of the car and putting them on the ground. Many times you see, back up, get on your knees. That's what they'll do. I'm not saying that's the case here. There's a lot of times where people mouth off, and I'm not saying Tyreek mouthed off to the cops either, but that can get you on the ground. You don't know. What I'm saying is we need more information. And if the situation is anything like Scotty Scheffler, where the cops were out of line and clearly out of line, it deserves equal coverage. That's what I'm saying. And I support the blue. I support the people that run to the situations that most of us run away from. But just like anything in life, if you're not doing it right, it needs to be addressed. That's it. But back to the fighting. It's crazy. It's stupid. No, it's not that. My bad. It doesn't make any sense. Don't make no sense. Agree on Raiders fans fighting other Raiders fans. What a bunch of numbskulls. It seems to happen a lot with certain fan bases. I'm not going to go into it. I'm actually a fan of Raiders fan. You guys know that I have a lot of respect for Raiders fan and their affinity for the team, their support of the team through multiple moves, through the really lean years, and still sticking by. Like one of my really good friends, huge Raiders fan, thinking about going to a game in Las Vegas this season. Might even go to a game that's on the East Coast this season. Great dude, doesn't fight. But it's just, there's too many fights. I got on, I'm not going to lie to you. I got on my phone's, or my son's phone. And I forget what he showed me a TikTok. Or no, it wasn't a TikTok. It was just a reel or whatever it is on YouTube, right? And he was showing me one. And we have everything on his stuff locked down, right? We got the parental controls, all that in place. But he shows me the little clip, and then the next one rolls up, and it's an NFL fight. And then the next one rolls up. It's an NFL fight. And it's like, okay, is this old? Is it new? It was new. And it's just like, come on. And they were all from the same game. It's just nuts. Jake, I get it, dude. I support the police. My point being, we don't know what happened. But if anything is like the Scotty Scheffler situation where the officer was out of line, then fair attention needs to be brought on that. I think it's fair to say information from this is not coming out as quickly as it was with Scotty Scheffler. But as I said, MC made a great point. Scotty Scheffler was arrested. Tyreek Hill was not. So we're going to end that conversation there. I do want to talk about this really quick because you guys know what I was doing, where I was at the last 10, 11 days. And, I really enjoy having this community come together and love the fact that you tune in here once a week, couple times a week. I love it. So I'm willing to share certain things from you. I was in Wisconsin, the great state of Wisconsin, with a group of some of my best friends. There we are right there. That was actually where we stayed. We stayed on the Bay of Green Bay, and we were right there on the water. It was absolutely gorgeous. We did nothing but eat, watch football, hang out, relax, catch up, play cards, all the things that you should do. And my bar for Wisconsin, I wasn't quite sure where it was at. And I'm not talking about alcohol in the bar. I'm talking about like my bar, my expectations for the trip, because there's some people that say Wisconsin is the greatest place in the world. And there's others that say, oh, well, why would you go to Wisconsin? It's a bunch of cornfields, right? Well, so I'm like, all right, let's give it a shot, right? And so anyways, the food, the people, the way of life out there, so much slower. It's so much more spread out, but again, I can't go back to how gorgeous it is. And the food, Mark already brought it up. Some of the food that we had, and as you know, I am a participant in the Jim Rome show. I've participated for many years. I have a pretty good relationship with the crew, with the show. And a lot of these guys also are parts of the Jim Rome show. But anyways, what happened was the trip took on a life of its own. So we kind of said, bro, what's up, BJ? How you doing, my man? Good to see you, buddy. We didn't want it to be a clone trip, right? So we said we're gonna keep it to the guys. We're not telling the clones. We're not having clones to the Airbnb. We're just gonna keep it to the boys. But we were gonna let people know. We were gonna let Jim know that we were together and in Wisco. Well, it ended up jumping the damn week in Jim's show. It turned into pretty much the entire week of show fodder from, I believe, Tuesday or Wednesday on, which ultimately culminated on, I believe it was Wednesday or Thursday. Jim went live to us at the lake, or on the bay, excuse me. And we did a live segment from the bay, showed our little get together. We were the first ones, actually, for quote unquote clones that have ever been zoomed in on the show. Normally, it is only guests that are zoomed in on the show. It's tagged to my X profile if you want to go check it out. Not going to play it here, but it took on a life of its own. So it became show fodder and a lot of jokes, a lot of fun. Huge thanks to Jim and the crew for having us on. But getting back to the trip, it was magical. I can't say enough good stuff about it. The only complaint was I didn't have my family there. Other than that, best group of guys, an amazing place to go. If you ever have a chance to go to Wisco, I mean this with my whole heart. Take the chance. Take the opportunity. Do it. It's not crazy expensive. We played some golf, which was awesome. That was really cool. But I'm not doing a good job of explaining it. If you want to get a better idea of the Wisco experience, do this. Go to my X page at Ryan_in_Sacktown. You'll see a lot of pictures, a lot of posts from the trip, and you'll understand what I'm talking about. So a big thanks to my boys. We hit up Lambeau Field, which was awesome. It was really cool getting to see the stadium. My son, yes, he got a cheese head, and yes, he got a cheese dagger. He wanted the dagger as well, so we got lucky with that. But again, some of the best food that I've had, best times, great dudes, amazing trip. I missed all of you. I'm happy to be back. But what an awesome trip it was. It was great for the soul, and it was awesome to be with my guys in Wisco. So again, we are getting ready for the Niners. Yes, see, I'm getting my Wisco accent going now. The Niners, we got the Niners and the Jets tonight. How you going to be watching it? Are you guys blacked out on ESPN? What a joke. Can they get that together, by the way? They have got to get that together. Damon Bruce, by the way, if you don't listen or watch Damon's show, go check him out. Damon Bruce Show does a great job covering Bay Area sports and the Niners. He's canceling his DirecTV subscription because of this, and I don't blame him. I'm a little peeved too, especially when you pay extra for stuff like ESPN Plus, right? And you can't even get the programming there. So hopefully you can get the game. If not, rush out, get a digital antenna, get a free trial on Hulu or someplace else. But all eyes on San Francisco. Will Christian McCaffrey be playing? He is questionable. And then Aaron Rodgers. Which Aaron Rodgers is going to show up tonight? It's going to be a fun one. It's going to be a rockin' in Santa Clara. And be back here tomorrow, 3 o'clock. Grant and Sean wrapping up NFL Week 1, also talking some college football as well. So we're going to do a King's Court at night. So look for that tomorrow night. We'll probably go live about 8 o'clock. If you have questions, I'm going to pre-tape this segment with Jerry Reynolds. So if you have any questions for Jerry, hit me on my X page at Ryan_in_Sacktown, and I will try to squeeze those in, and then we'll do the live show as well, and we'll just do the pre-tape with Jerry. We get closer. Some moves got made with the Kings. They've brought in another player to basically a training camp contract. Also, the Stockton Kings have a new coach. Tune in. We'll talk more about that with Jerry tomorrow. Oh, we got through it. We're through it, y'all. The first day back on the King's Court. I appreciate all you, Mark. Thank you very much, my buddy. He looks like Mike Trout. No, he does. Which one? Which one? Not the one that I was on screen with. Not the group picture. Maybe there's. Oh, you're talking about Ty. Yeah, Ty kind of does look like Mike Trout. I got you. Thank you, MC. Really appreciate it. It was a fun trip. For me, it's something. Now that I'm doing this with Grant, family time, there's just not really any time to usually do trips like that. So glad I got mine in with the rest of the people covering the Kings, etc. This is the time everybody's taking off before the season starts. So refreshed, ready to go, and looking forward to watching Monday Night Football tonight. Hope you all are as well. Don't forget, not too late to get into our fantasy football pick'em league. You guys are picking them well. Really good. Corn Dog is tied atop with another, I forget, Stacking C Notes, I think is the name, but 10 wins they've already picked up in that league. BJ rounding out the top 10 with 8 wins. So go get in there. It's not too late. You can start picking. Oh, that's the wrong link. You can start picking with us next week for week 2, but not too late. The winner of the league will get a couple $100 gift cards. More on that as we get closer. Peter is the reigning champion, but we'd love to have you in there. Go get in. If you have any questions, hit me up on the X. Would be happy to take them. Thanks, buddy. Bane, I can never see your emojis. So hand, pink, waving? So, 'cause I'm wearing a pink shirt, Bane. Is my hat too loose, Bane? Is my mic off right now, Bane? Just playing, buddy. All right. Enjoy Monday Night Football. We are out of here. So good to be back in the saddle. We'll be back with you tomorrow night, 8 o'clock. Jerry Reynolds Tuesday. We'll have the pre-tape on that. Get your questions to me in advance. And for my pick tonight, let me give you my pick. I'm going to say I have Christian McCaffrey in on my fantasy team right now as the starting running back. I don't think Christian McCaffrey is going to play. And if he does play, I don't think he's going to play very much. But I still think the Niners win this game. I think they cover the spread, but I do think Aaron Rodgers has a pretty good game back. I don't think it's going to be enough to blow the Niners away, but I think it will be competitive. It's going to be a defensive battle, not a lot of scoring, but I'm going to say Niners cover, get the first win of the season. I do think it will be a fun one. Get your picks in. Thank you all. Love you. Make it a great rest of the day. We haven't heard from Baki, but we still got Tadora here. Here we go.
Holy moly, Jimbaboli.
Thank you for that, Tadora. Go Kings. Light the damn beam. Grant and Sean tomorrow, 3 p.m. right here on If You Don't Like That, Kings Court, 8 p.m. tomorrow. Make it a great rest of the day. Court is dismissed.